Okay. One thing about Lab 1 that's changed is that I've collapsed the packages you need to use down to one package. There used to be a package in Lab 2. I've actually pulled that over into Lab 1. So there's this common asset package now. It contains 6 folders. I'm just going to go over that quickly with you right now. So basically, you'll download the... Let me bring up the lab one more time. You'll click this button right here to download it. And then you'll just drag it to your desktop, and then you can drag it on into Unity, into the assets folder, the project folder here. There'll be a window about what to import. No big deal. And then you'll get... Here, I'll make this bigger. And then you'll get this folder called Common Assets. So in here, you will see 6 folders. The first 3 are materials. So pure. These are basically... Let me make this bigger. There we go. Basically pure. When we think about colors come in 3 channels. They have a red channel, a green channel, blue channel. Sometimes you're playing with the alpha. We're not playing with the alpha in this case. But for our purposes, we're talking about whether... I'm talking about, is the channel full on or full off? So red, basically only the red channel has a 1. And green, only the green channel and the blue. And the cyan, the magenta, and the yellow are a combination of 2 channels. White is all the channels are on, and black is all channels are off. I've got a set of grays that basically from very, very, very little bit of black, little bit. So one of the things about black is that when you have a pure black, it is hard to use. It doesn't take lighting. So all of these basically are different grays. Not a pure black, but a little bit of like basically a 1. So if we're looking from 1 to 255, this is a 1 in every channel. So this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 80, 90. And because we're hexadecimal, then we go A, B, C, D, E, F. But it's not pure white. It's not a pure black. And so these are gray. So these will take color for that reason. So this is, if you wanted to play with different grays, hey, here's 16 of them right for you. And then there are the Crayola, basically they're the Crayola crayon colors. Apricot. This is, it's a black but not a pure black, so it'll take light. Blue, a blue-violet, a purple. Here is the red-violet. Here's a white that's not pure white. A yellow, but it's not the pure yellow. Here's yellow-orange. So these are Crayola style. They're colors that, if you looked at Crayola crayons, these would be similar to what you'd get out of that package. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. Yeah, so this is like the 18 pack of crayons, basically, that I've given you here. And these give you, you don't necessarily have brown with the pure colors. You don't necessarily have a good orange. So here you go. You've got different. A gray specifically is this color right here. So materials. So this is allow you to throw a material on and not worry about it. The next is the prototype model. So this was the models that you previously had. So the box, the door frame, the door model, a house 2, ramp, wall. Pretty much stuff you can throw into your level and just play around with. Let's see. Prototype player. So there's two prefabs in here. So a prefab, again, is a collection of game objects. Do I have a floor? I do have a floor. Okay. So there's 2 prefabs in here. When you're using these prefabs, make sure you go into your world and take out the camera. There's like a main camera. Take that out, or you can also disable it by checking that. Now I've disabled everything, so I don't want to do that. But for these, because these guys, if you drop them into the world, move them up just slightly up. So here's a marble. So you can see that. I'm going to go to it. Yeah, basically it's based on your forward direction. Based on where you're facing, it's going to move in that direction. Now it will respond to input based on the direction you're facing. It's not a great, like, you put a ramp, so there'll be issues. So let's go back and let me go back to the models. Let's get one of the ramps. And -10. There we go. And then so here's the ramp. I'll press play. Now the first thing about this, about when we're using the models, I have no collision. So that's the first thing. So let's look at that ramp one more time. I'm going to collapse the mesh render because we don't need that. We're not going to play with anything in there. I'm going to add a component, and this is going to be a collision. Now we could do a box collider, but then that would be a box. It's not what we want. Ultimately, what we want is a mesh collider. Mostly because it has got that special, it's got that half shape here. Normally we wouldn't use the mesh collider. Mesh collider is usually expensive, but because the object is simple here, we can get away with it. Other objects like let's go back and we'll bring in like the house. Remake this 1. Bring this over here.
You just added a component, correct? You hit add component.
Yep, I clicked on add component. And in this case, I can get away with using a box collider. Now, in this case, the roof is not, but we're not going on top of we're not building anything that's going on top of the house. So I'm not too worried. So if I press play now that I've added colliders, I'll go to do the first one where I go to the house, and you can see when I hit the house, I stop. And then the ramp, if I can get it, I'm not going to. Hold on. Let's make the ramp wider. I think we need, 3. There we go. You can see that. Yay, I went off of it. I had to go. It's I'm getting air off of it. And one of the things is that I've got air control, which is not necessarily what you'd think you should be able to do.
I was going to ask if that was a normal thing when you put in a...
Yeah, I mean, this is okay. So these player controllers that we're dealing with right here aren't they're good for our purposes for this week, but they're not really great player controllers. Bottom line, they're not great. They're not intended to be production or anything you used in your final project. There's lots of issues with them. So that's the first one I wanted to show off is the other one is I'm going to take this one out, and the other one I'm just going to drop into the world. Again, move it up 1, and it's basically a first-person shooter. Where we go? There we go. And I can go up the ramp now, and yay. Almost landed on the house. Yeah, and you can see he's floaty. So it's not about they're not here to be dynamic and be production ready. They're here to let you can test your scene and walk around. That's pretty much what they're there for. All right. I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm not even sure about these. Yeah, these are programmed. I wouldn't use the scripting in these. They're not. I'm surprised. They're still working right now, but in due time they will break. I'm gonna have to rewrite the scripting on them. because they're using the old input system and not the input manager. The input system is what came with Unity years and years ago, and it's broken. Bottom line, it's broken. How do we know how bad it was? Sony and other people Sony basically wrote a new input manager system for the PlayStation platform because it was so bad. For the longest time, a lot of people would buy. There were like 5-6 different input management systems that you could buy on the asset store to replace the input system because it was so bad. Unity eventually did replace it with the new input manager system, and we'll talk about that. I will show you the few basic things that you need to know. Hey, that's input system. Don't use it. But after that, we'll be using the input manager all the way. Like one of the things that you have a problem with the input system is that if you hold down like 5 keys, it won't recognize 3 of them. Yeah, the input manager will. It will properly recognize all of them. So, yeah. So there like just issues with the keyboard itself reared its head with the input system. So. The last one is some prototype things. So here's a gray floor. So if you wanted to throw down a floor, here we go. And then we will have this user prefab that you'll use over and over later on. Like we'll make there's a combat game that we'll use him with, and we'll use this in very different ways. So just he's basically two pieces. He's got a cylinder. It's not a cylinder. It's a capsule, and then a block for the visor. That's glasses, effectively. So that's what's in your common assets. Feel free to use. Again, you'll get more assets as the term goes on. There will be some more assets given to you. Example levels, like other stuff that will be given, and those you'll start seeing them around I think lab 4 or 5. But for the next few weeks, these are all the assets you really need. You won't need anything else. Actually, I think the next lab, there's either the next lab or the lab after that. I gave you textures to use to build materials. So.
When you pull up lab 1, it doesn't give any description.
No.
Okay.
You mean lab 1 in terms of? Oh, lab 1 is in it. So when we look at lab 1, there's a document here.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah. Let me just bring up the document. That'd be better. So. The goal is that as a developer, it's essential for the day-to-day working to be able to set up and use a basic sandbox scene in Unity to test your own work. And in this lab, we're going to take an overview of the Unity interface and build basic building skills. So you're going to make a new Unity project, make sure it's in the working folder on these machines. All right. If you go home, you're going to have to copy. Right now, it's a copy file is over. If you know how to use GitHub, you can set that up to transfer files that way. We'll talk. This class doesn't use GitHub per se. I should change that, but we've got so much to do. That's a problem. Oh yeah, I gotta change this. So it says to add the 2 Unity asset packages. Basically, it's now just one package. It's the URP common assets. So I've got to go back and change this. Actually, I'm gonna copy this. Create folders, prefabs, materials, scripts in your project assets folder. So what we're saying down here, we want you to make some folders. So one folder called materials. Another folder, we want scripts. What was the third one? I'm trying to remember the third one. Prefabs. There we go. And you'll see that these three folders will show up as folders in other subfolders that are specific. So these are going to hold things specific to this project. All right. So the big thing I want you to be aware about is that you are going to build upon like the labs in this course do build upon each other, and there are going to be things that you're going to build like next month, for example, or early this month or early next month, which you'll then polish and you'll improve in other labs in the future. So like there's a point where you build a combat game, a soccer game, and a Plinko game. And there are multiple, you'll go over them a couple times where you upgrade them. Like, hey, this time we're learning about how to build UIs. We're going to add a UI to so you can see what your score is. You can see what the score, how many times you've killed the other player type thing. Or how many, what the goal of the game is type scenario. Those three games get built into a small application later on, where like, oh, we're building switching scenes. Or we'll build a main menu, and we'll have a button here to go to the combat game, and then the combat game will bring us back to the main menu. And ultimately, you will build that application. And I think I have you upload it to Itch.io. I think now. I think I have it's either if I don't require it, it's a extra credit piece where you upload your example application to Itch.io. So that you've gone through the process of uploading it to Itch.io, which means you've built it for the web as well, which is what we'll talk about that. That's October, everyone. So don't. I'm talking about Lab 10 here right now, so don't worry. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm giving you hints to where things are going with your labs. I asked you to create 4 materials. So let's go through that right now. So I'm going to go into the materials folder that I created. And I'm just going to right click and create. At the top is material. And this is going to be, I'm going to just call it Mat 1. So you'll see MAT as short for material. I don't know what I'm going to build this with. This is going to be flat color. And so for our purposes right now, we're playing with the base map. Excuse me. There are other properties like metallic, normal, height, occlusion. These are all. There's a way of building materials called physically based rendering. We'll go over this at another time. And these are properties of the PBR material. Right now, you will see that base map. It's also, you've seen it as the diffuse, and albedo is other terms you'll hear for this base map. So same idea, different terms. And there's 2 ways we can affect this. One is by the color itself. So like we're gonna only flat color. We're just gonna change this color right here, and we'll just click right here and pick our color. And I'm just gonna go A, B, C, D, E, F. I have no clue what this is. It's gonna give me a blue. So that's basically, I just picked up a random color for our purposes. But that's a flat color, and I'm just gonna and to use it, we can just drag it onto the object we want. I need to find a material. You're gonna hate me, but I don't care. Let me just rename this. Rename And so I'm going to bring in a texture. It's going to be Nicolas Cage, because why not? Basically, I have a texture here. I can go, and I'm just going to put down a sphere. So I'm going to go to my 3 object here. And so I right-clicked in here to bring up this menu, and I can create an empty here. I can create 2D object, which is not what we want. 3D objects here is what we're looking for. So I can do like cubes, spheres, capsule, cylinders. I'm just going to do a sphere, because why not? Where is the sphere? Sphere is somewhere I don't need it. So I'm going to go type that in, bring this in here. And I'm just going to take the texture and put it onto the sphere. And by doing so, I've now made Nightmare Fuel for you. But it also made a material here. And it made a universal run pipeline, which is what we want. So that's the material that we want. If you see a pink material pop up, it's probably the standard material, which is the older rendering pipeline. Change it, basically go to shader, go to universal render pipeline, click on that, click on lit, and that's the material type you want to start with. So here we go. So ideally, this is really what we really want is this sphere to be here and that material to be in that folder here, to be quite honest. Typically, you'll hide your textures into a folder by themselves. It's the materials that are applied to the object. So yeah, here is my...
Create our own materials.
Yep. Basically, I'm asking you to create 4 different materials. There's 2 ways to do this. Now, the other way I could have done this, let's bring in... So I'm going to bring in another material. So I'm going to make a new material. And I'm just going to grab this. I'm just going to copy and paste. So I have another object to play with. And then on this one, I've got basically it's going to be Nick Cage, and in this case, I'm going to lock the inspector so I can keep it here. And I'm going to take this image and I'll apply it to this square right here. And now you can see that under the materials, that has now changed the material. And I'll apply it there, and now I've got more Nightmare Fuel Nicolas Cage.
Are you just getting these off of?
Yeah, I'm just grabbing off the web. This is yeah. I'm just and I'm using Nicolas Cage because why not? It's either him or Danny DeVito. Yeah. I've had the DeVito sphere. I've had students use Danny DeVito to troll me, and so in his case, I'm now trolling you right back with Nicolas Cage.
Preemptive trolling?
What was that?
First I said preemptive trolling, but I didn't have an actual question.
Yes.
But just to make sure that I'm not getting lost here, by materials, you mean colors and pictures, right? That you put on
No. Let's. So first of all, yes, I am preemptively trolling you. That's the answer. The answer to the first question. Second, so the question. No, materials define the properties of a surface. Okay, that's the thing I want to be. So textures are images. All right, that's what a texture is. It's the image data, and it's like, and the texture can define more than one thing. So right now you're defining the texture as the base map, but you've heard about basically what's called a normal map. It is defining. So I have a flat surface, but like I can define pixel the angle of the surface per pixel via the normal map. And that allows us to basically give us like depth on the image, on our surface. That we don't. So it's giving us depth on our surface that we don't have to model. Is the purpose. Height map is like that, but it's a grayscale, so it's just straight up and down.
So materials is things that we're putting on the object.
So yeah. So let me put this in perspective. Base map says what's the color. Think of it as it's the color. The metallic is basically giving us properties whether it is it you'll see metallic and roughness are the two typically in this case they've got smoothness. Ignore. Delete the exit out of that. Okay, so so when we talk about like the properties of the surface, like if it's reflective, it's like metal, then the metallic is up around 1 on that property, and the smoothness is up high, like 1 as well, and that makes it reflective.
Is that a material?
Well, that's a material. These are material properties.
Oh, okay.
So again, these surface they've got under surface inputs. Those are what the properties we're talking about.
Oh,
Let me make another material.
Okay.
And we'll do this like gray metallic. So obviously I'm going to go here and I'm going to be 128, 128, 128. So I've got a gray to start with. The next thing I can do with the gray metallic, I'm going to go, and this is, make that white again. My apologies. I got to unlock the inspector. Here we go. 128, 128, 128. There we go. So now you can see that it's gray. The next thing is on the metallic map, I will put that up to 1. And the smoothness, I'm going to make that 1. And that will, you can see, you can see the skyline reflecting on the metallic. So there, we can define, so the idea is that we define materials to have physical properties. This is shiny metal. This is dirt. This is flesh. This is a weave type scenario. And these are properties that we assign to the material, and then we apply it to the portion of to the surface.
Like if we were changing the material that it was made of, if it was a tangible object.
Yeah, I mean, like this is flesh versus this is wood. This is metal versus this is. One of the things that we can do is make it. One of the things like right now we've a surface type opaque. We can make it transparent instead. And one of the things we can do, and then now go to the base map, we can now go play with the alpha and say it's a 128 in this case. And now we can sort of see through it. And you can see that it's reflective, so this is more glass-like. You can see the reflection of the world on it now. But we can still see, but now we can see through it. Let's make this... 255. There we go. So you can see that 128. Here we go. So I've got this now orange glass that we're looking at right now. See, reflection of the skylight. So again, these are options of things that we can do. Question.
So for the images being put in, does it have to be a specific image file, or can it be like some of the more general image files?
General image files. And we're talking about PNG, JPEG. I wouldn't be using GIF because it's the two that you would be using most likely are PNG or JPEG. They support transparencies very well. You will see. I'm blanking on the old file format. There's another file format. I'm blanking on it. You won't see it as much anymore. You can, in theory, bring in your Photoshop documents. I recommend against that because typically you're using your Photoshop. Typically, what I'm using Photoshop documents lately for is to make not one image, but it's a template to make multiple images. So if I save my Photoshop document, but then I need to go back and make another image, and I save my Photoshop document again, it then will change in my, So typically you'll export out your Photoshop to a PNG or a JPEG and bring that into your application.
we allowed to put materials onto the FPS character? Or is
You
it
can, but
that way
you
specific?
can't. I mean, you can, but
I was just asking just to be sure. I didn't know if you could change it or not.
you can.
I didn't know if it would mess
You
with
can,
it.
but the thing here's the thing. It's not going to be any. It's not going to do anything.
Not gonna change anything.
And the reason is the camera's inside the capsule. Effectively, like this capsule right here. When we look at that, really should be turning off the mesh renderer. There's the mesh render. The mesh model is not there to be used. It's really more that's the capsule collider. So, again, this is why I'm saying, like, yeah, don't worry too much about these player controllers. You're gonna go and you're gonna rebuild these from scratch and build them better. You'll be able to build them and take, like, again, one of the things is that gravity is meh on this object. You'll go back in and you'll rebuild it and you'll take you can do it, you apply force to the object to make it feel like it's falling properly. So yeah, this is about not about what the materials are. It's more that you know how to build materials. That's really what that portion of the assignment is. I am going to copy the document and put it into. I'm going to get this out of here. So to create four materials, one needs to be a flat color. And I got to change this up because there's different things I got to change. Have one of the player prefabs. Delete the main camera scene. Use 3D objects. Use meshes. Make sure you have collision. Again, when we're talking about 3D objects, we're talking about this folder right here. We're talking from cube down to quad, so don't worry about anything else in this. In theory, I mean, I'm not going to deal with TextMesh Pro this week. I mean, use all the textures you've made. You're welcome to make more. You're also welcome to use the common assets as well. So it's not that big a deal. But it's just the four textures are there to get you through that you have. Again, it's about, can you make a basic material? It's not if the material is great or good or pretty. I mean, as I showed you, I just threw a face on a sphere and gave you nightmare fuel. I'm not too concerned about what the materials are and if they're any good. I'm more concerned you can make them. If you can make the material, your artist can take it and replace it and make it look better for you. Or yell at you for what the hell you've done. Now, I will give you one thing. If you make your material so bad, your artist will believe that that's what you intended and won't touch it. I made a material that was a joke, and it was a placeholder, and it was hilarious. And it was funny. And it was slightly off color. Not too bad off color, but slightly off color. And they never went back and touched the material. I also not sure if now I will take, it's one of two things may have happened is that I may not have told them to change it, thinking that they would see it and they would be, oh, that needs to be changed. So there's part of I made it so bad that it was too good. There's the point of you went so bad it's now funny and good again, and I ended up in that area. That's clearly what happened here. I also do not remember, now I think about it, I don't think I remember telling them to change the texture as well. So there's a double failure there. Now that I think about it, that was a double failure on my part. So be careful. Now, for me, I got away with what I did. No harm, no foul. But these types of images can get you in trouble. So Microsoft was trying to roll out a new game system for PC. And Halo CE was supposed to be the first game that was supposed to launch under that new system. And it got delayed. And that's because there was a inappropriate image in the editor files. It was like a placeholder image. It was not used in game. It was just there for, and it was a placeholder image, and it was like, lol, haha, but it was inappropriate. Microsoft found about it after they had started printing discs for it, and that really messed up things, because that Halo game was supposed to spearhead a new initiative with Microsoft with a new, and I forget what the system was, but it basically killed that initiative with Microsoft with games. It never went anywhere because the thing that was supposed to introduce this to everyone, had Halo shipped when CE had shipped at that time when it was supposed to, we all would have been like, oh, okay, whatever, and we would have been fine with it after the fact. But because it didn't ship when it did, we were like, why do we need this module? Blah blah blah. Yeah. So these are things that you have to be careful about. This goes back to there's a trio of these things. So Oblivion had its rating changed because from teen to mature, because there was a couple materials of the base skin, literally skin, and it had nipples basically. I'm just gonna be blunt. It was nipples on skins. And because of that, so if you had removed all the clothes, you'd have a character with nipples. Hooray. We are all adults. Because of that, the rating for Oblivion in a couple cases was changed to mature. Bethesda went back and pulled those copies and changed the material appropriately to be no anatomy. It's kind of funny because Ritual, a few months later, Ritual released Sin episodes, and they're like, people are like, oh, the character doesn't have any nipples on it. Oh, where's my nudity? And they're like, haha, we did that on purpose because of the ratings. Thank you for pointing that out for us. Yeah, no, this is a weird time in the game industry. But the game that I'm gonna get to, so these are the game that the third game I'm going to get to, just this is our history lesson for today, was GTA San Andreas. And what happened is they shipped with unused code and unused content. And modders found out that was there and re-enabled it. We know this as the hot coffee mod. You can go look it up. That made the game AO. And that was a huge big deal. Now, what is the moral of the story? If you ship it, you are responsible for it. That's the moral of the story. That's what we learned as an industry. If it's on disk, you are responsible for it. If it's part of your package, if it's in game, if it's in your files, you are responsible for it. Even if it's not part of the game or it doesn't show up in normal gameplay, you are responsible for it, because gamers are going to go through it and you're going to find it anyways. So that's our history lesson here. I'm going to go copy this because there's some changes that I need to make.
Would you also be nice enough after to show individuals how to do a zip file?
Yeah, let me, yeah, actually I can do that right now. I mean, actually you won't need a zip file for this week.
You won't?
No, because I'm not taking your whole project. Yeah, yeah, that's the other thing. I'm not going to take your whole project. I just want a screenshot of your level. So I mean that's basically for us. I'm just gonna take the scene view. Like I'm just gonna go and do a scene view like this. I'm gonna hit print screen, and so on Windows 11, that will give you the clipping tool. Some places you can copy. Well, just for the sake of argument, you can't just copy and paste into somewhere and send it. Go to Paint, hit Control V. Let me see. Hit the crop tool. So it's just that one image, and then I can go File, Save as a PNG. I'm just going to go to the desktop for the sake of laziness, and this will be Lab 1. Use your name just to be on the safe side, because if I have to download like everything in a whole batch, at least I've got your name. Your name is on the file, and so there we go.
I'm so sorry, I missed where you.
I'll go over it one more time. Just going to point that the file ended up right here on the desktop. Okay. So, for our purposes, we're going to hit print screen. Now, on Windows 11, it's going to give us this lovely clipping tool. So I just need the scene view. I don't need the game view. I just need the scene view. That'll be fine. I don't need the whole screen. I mean, if you want to give me the hierarchy, that's cool. But I don't need it. I just need to see. That it's a verification that you've done the work. Now, right now, the image right now exists in my clipboard. In some cases, you can go and you can like on Discord, you can paste it in and hit return and off it goes. I don't know if Canvas will allow you to do that. It might. But to make sure that we're all on the same page, that make sure that we can save the image properly, we're going to go to Paint. Let me close Paint and bring it up one more time. So here's Paint. Cool, got it. I don't care about Copilot. I'm going to paste in my image, and the clip tool is right here. Crop tool, I should say. And I'm going to just basically crop it to the image area that I pasted in. And then all I need to do is File, Save As, just do a PNG. I have one, and I'll just call it Wall 2, just for the sake of argument. And now I've saved the file. Now I put it on the desktop because I'm being lazy. You definitely want to get it off your desktop, because otherwise your desktop will be a mess. So I'm actually going to make a folder over here. So I'm making a folder called Assets. And so for my purposes, I'm going to drop them into this folder. This is a folder that will be on my other desktop window. So, but yeah, save it in a folder somewhere. Ideally, like, hey, that would be saved in a work folder. That's not another work folder or related to this class. No, not that big a deal. But that's all I'm looking for in terms of this assignment. Have fun, build something, use colors. The one thing I haven't shown you that, I gotta go back. Do I talk about prefabs? No, we'll do it next week. We'll do prefabs next week. Okay. Any last questions before I basically end the recording? Going once? Going twice? Okay.